Welcome into Duval Daily, presented by GenJag.com. I'm Jordan DeLugo. Thank you so much for tuning in here Friday, May 23rd. As y'all know, we've talked about it this week. It is the season of lists, the season of rankings. This week, we had OTA number 1 on Monday. We've talked about that. We won't have the ability to get out there on the practice field as media until next Tuesday. So, again, we're kind of just taking a look around the internet, seeing what people are saying about the Jags. If you want a nice long chunk of content, a couple different things, you can go check out the Duval Dive, where I was the guest on that show for a couple of their different episodes this week. You can check them out on YouTube, also on Twitter. So that can be a fun little sidetrack, little break from just the Gen Jag YouTube channel. There's a lot of other good people putting out Jaguars content as well. But I did want to take a look at PFF. Trevor Sikkema put out the top 3 players on every team heading into 2025. Wanted to take a look at that and then also round it out, just doing a top 5 for the Jaguars, and then talk about players who I think could definitely find their way into the top 5 for the Jaguars in terms of their most impactful players in 2025, and then maybe some sneaky guys that some might not expect to be able to potentially do that, but I think there's a path for it. So according to Pro Football Focus's Trevor Sikkema, who does a great job covering the NFL and the NFL draft, he has Josh Hines-Allen, Brian Thomas Jr., Trevor Lawrence. Yeah, I mean, that's very chalky and with good reason. I think that it's pretty clear that those are the 3 top guys on this roster in terms of importance, in terms of their sustained level of play for Trevor Lawrence when healthy. But Josh Hines-Allen has been one of the best edge guys in the league for a while now. Sack production has always at least been at a good level. There's been a couple seasons, 2023, where it was at an elite level. But beyond the sack production, you have somebody who's consistently impacting the quarterback in the backfield, getting them off their spot, generating pressures at an extremely high level efficiently, and then a high effort, very strong run defender who makes plays setting the edge, who makes plays chasing guys down across the field. He's just consummate professional, great leader, great worker, very talented football player who brings strength, athleticism, advanced hand usage at this point in his career, and really good technique overall as a run defender as well, to be, in my opinion, one of the highest impact edge players in the league. I don't think he's maybe top 3. I think you could get into the different debates with that, but certainly someone who I think any team would be very happy to have and happy to pay at a high level. And then you have Brian Thomas Jr., who we talked about a good bit yesterday, coming off of his rookie year. What a rookie year it was. He proved he can be a 3-level threat. He can win outside. He can win in the slot, and can take the top off the defense at an extremely high level. I think the 2 most impressive things from him last year were his ability to get off the line of scrimmage against press, not only with his feet, but also using his hands to make sure that defenders aren't getting their hands onto his chest and disrupting his route flow. And then his ability as well to run the entire route tree. That's just something a lot of people questioned heading into the NFL draft last year, and maybe why he fell a little bit, but the sky is the limit for Brian Thomas Jr. He was already the 3rd most productive receiver in the league last year in terms of yardage. He scored 10 touchdowns as well. Drop rate was in a very good place. You do want to see him improve in terms of not double catching, because that can lead to variance. You want to make sure that you're always where you're supposed to be, right? There's times where an inside release instead of an outside release might lead to poor spacing on a play. There's times where there's not the right route depth. That all comes with being in an offense longer, which of course is in a new offense this year, but also just attention to detail, and it's a smoother transition going into year 2 than it is year 1, right? There's so much that goes into being a rookie, that goes into preparing for the NFL draft. So I think BTJ is in line for a huge year, and I think probably better overall efficiency and just attention to detail. And then Trevor Lawrence in this offense, I think you look at him, and when he's been healthy, even in a poor offense, he's been pretty darn good overall. I do think 2024, when healthy, was his worst year since his rookie year. That's fair, but it was still well within a winning range for the most part until injuries kind of snuck up again. And so what Trevor Lawrence has to do is stay healthy. If he can stay healthy, this offense is going to give him so many more answers in terms of the personnel, the play calling, the coaching, all of it. So I think that they're in a very good spot with those top three. But if we're talking top five, I would definitely put Trayvon at number 4, Trayvon Walker for the Jaguars, who's another player who still developing, still a very young player, former first overall pick by the Jaguars. We don't need to get into that conversation about the first overall pick because the bottom line is that doesn't matter at this point. What matters is what Trayvon Walker gives to the Jaguars now. And after 3 seasons in the league, he's put together 2 straight years of double-digit sacks. He is improving in his pass rush efficiency. He's one of the top run defenders on the edge in the NFL and one of the just freakiest athletes that you have to know where he is and pay attention to where he's aligned every single play if you're an offense, because he can absolutely wreck things and he's still ascending in a big way. So Trayvon Walker, ascending, but also very productive already, definitely in terms of the sack department, improving in the pass rush efficiency, and then a very, very strong run defender. So kind of the total package, as long as that pass rush efficiency keeps improving and the arsenal keeps improving. And then probably reasonable debate for 5, but to me, it was very clearly Foye Oluokun, who is a team leader. Off-ball linebacker, not the most valuable position in the world these days, but at least in terms of monetarily, but he is the green dot guy, team leader, really good in coverage, really good coming downhill against the run as well, snuffing things out, getting guys lined up where they're supposed to line up, making plays on third down, getting tackles on third down, short of the sticks. I think that Foye is kind of, when this defense is at its best, which it has not been at its best a lot lately, but when it has been, he's kind of been the heartbeat of the, obviously you got Josh Hines Allen and Trayvon Walker up front, but of the back 7, I would say Foye is clearly the top dog there. But I think there's a lot of players who could be top 5 impact type guys for the Jaguars, depending on how things go this year, that were not in my top 5. And so I think that's a good thing, because you want players who, you feel good about that top 5, but there's a number of players who could certainly have talent-wise sneak into that top 5. One of them's obviously Travis Hunter. You're not going to put him in the top 5 because he's a rookie, right? He hasn't done it yet. But if Travis Hunter plays the way we expect him to play and makes a big impact in this offense and on the defensive side of the ball as well, yeah, he's easily going to be, if he is who we think he is, he's going to be a top 5 player for the Jaguars. So that one is kind of in its own tier. And then there's some other guys who, based on their talent and what we've seen from them already in the pros at times, I think could be top 5 impact type of guys for the Jaguars. Eric Armstead, clearly, I would have had him probably in the top 5 last offseason before we knew that he was going to be playing as edge 3 instead of, your top interior defensive lineman. And I think they're kicking him back inside this year, which is what you want to see. He was also coming off a knee injury last year. He's healthy right now, playing the position he's supposed to be playing. You could have a very big year from Eric Armstead as an interior penetration 3-tech type of guy. Walker Little and or Anton Harrison. I think those are your 2 most talented offensive linemen on this roster. And there's been times where you thought that Anton Harrison would, like heading into last year, a lot of people probably would have made the argument they thought Anton Harrison would vault himself into the top 5 overall on this team. He didn't do that. There was some ups and downs, some inconsistencies. He also dealt with some lingering things last year, injury-wise. But I think Anton has the talent and the ability to certainly be a high-level tackle in this league. And Walker Little does too. He got signed to the contract in season, obviously previous regime, but I think that Walker Little is clearly going to be a starter for the Jaguars. And to me, what he has shown as both a pass protector and run blocker, and the talent that he brings, still a very young player himself. So is Anton Harrison. I think these two guys both have the opportunity to be very good tackles in this league. And if you're a very good tackle at one of the most important positions in football, you'll have a chance to be a top 5 impact type of guy. I think Tyson Campbell, when he's been healthy for most of his career, he's been that type of player that you could look at as a potentially foundational type of guy. And so the key for him, like Trevor Lawrence, really is just staying healthy. I think he's going to be in a defense here this year that's going to run a lot more zone than man. I think Tyson Campbell has always been more comfortable in zone with his eyes in the backfield. That's where he's been at his best. He's also a really good run defender, physical run defender. So I think Tyson Campbell has the chance to do that as well. Another young guy. All these guys outside of like Eric Armstead really coming in pretty young. Travis Etienne, contract year. Final year of his rookie deal. Obviously, there's all sorts of talk about him potentially getting traded, and I get it. They went and signed, drafted 2 running backs. But to me, Travis Etienne, last offseason, you might have thought he was a top 5 player on this football team. Like, he was insanely productive, insanely explosive, just difficult to get to the ground the last couple years before 2024. And there was highs and lows in 2024. You can say that about the entire football team. But Travis Etienne has the talent, and I think that this is a rushing scheme from Liam Cohen that could potentially get a lot more out of Travis Etienne. And then the sneaky guys, maybe type of guys. Obviously, any rookie could come in and potentially do that, but I wouldn't expect it necessarily. If I had to pick one outside of Travis, I would probably pick Caleb Ransaw. But sneaky maybes, realistically, I think Brenton Strange. I don't know that it will happen just because I think that they're going to use all the tight ends a lot, right? They're going to have 3 to 4 tight ends on the roster. I think they're all going to be out there a lot, but I do think Brenton Strange will be the most heavily utilized guy. I think he's actually like a more talented K. Dotton from Tampa last year, so I could see them trying to utilize him a lot and being very productive. Tank Bigsby would be in line potentially, depending on what happens with Travis Etienne. I think that if Etienne does get moved, Tank Bigsby could certainly vault himself into that category. What would he need to do? Probably, definitely improve on the ball security. But overall, I mean, there's a really talented runner in Tank Bigsby. And then I think Devin Lloyd could be a sneaky one too. He is going into a contract year as well. Jaguars didn't pick up his 5th-year option, but in the run game, he's extremely strong. In the pass game, there's flashes of brilliance, and then there's flashes of it looks like he's lost. So if you can kind of make it easier for Devin to be more assignment sound and be more consistent in the pass game, there's a chance, because he has the physical ability to be that type of player, and he's going into a contract year. So those are my thoughts on the Jaguars' top 5 players. Again, for me, it's Trevor Lawrence, it's Brian Thomas Jr., Josh Hines-Allen, Trayvon Walker, Foye Oluokun, and then we talked about all the other guys who potentially have a chance. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. If there's somebody you think could be a top 5 player that I didn't mention, let me know. And if you enjoy the content, please like and subscribe. Y'all have a good one.